Right then, welcome back. Today we're going to do a cheeky little setup for this, the 2005 CBR600RR underseat pipe radial caliper model. So the facelift, if you've got a non-radial, hang on to it because I reckon that'll be the one people want in years to come. Stock, it's fairly standard, 117 horsepower, blah, blah, blah. Tuned up, 144, give or take a bit of change, and 190 kilos wet. Now that would be a 600 worth a bit of wrist pain for. That would go very well. That is well into GSXR 750 territory, but it's not. It's a 600. Setup wise, this is one of the bikes that everything got deleted, and I still wasn't over it. So the setup was done in December, about Christmas time. There's the electronic settings and the tyres. We'll come to tyres in a minute. Pros, best all-round 600 probably. That's not a plug for Carlsberg. I just think the CBR 600 does well everywhere, whereas the R6 and the GSXR 600 are probably faster on the right track in dry weather. It's got a great balance. It will move a bit at the front, it'll move a bit at the back, it'll do dry, it'll do wet, it'll do everything in between, and it does what Hondas do, which means it just gets on with it without a lot of fuss or fanfare. Can feel a little bit boring, which is the first one on the cons. Can feel a bit detached. Needs to be pushed, yes. It's got such a wide operating window that to get the most out of it, you've got to thrash it half to death, and it's picky about tyres. It does not like too hard a tyre. Some bikes you get away with it, not the engine breaking down. No, the CBR will not, just does not tolerate it. Won't. I tried it, made a right mess at Kanto South, went with a medium front. Now Kanto's fairly hard on the front tyres, and it just wasn't interested. I should have gone with a soft. Speaking of which, there were 4 racers: Kanto, Sakuba, Okoyama and Sugo. It was the stock 600 cup in the Asia League. And it was quite difficult because everyone else was using GSXR 750s, detuned blades, Ducati 996s, GSXS 1000s. It was just a bit of a nightmare. And the AI, I thought we were away with the fairies first time. I thought, we've got this, we're in 6th, end of lap 1, got this in the bag. Watch this R6 now. See you, mate. What a bell end. And guess what? We had a right ding-dong with said R6 rider because we ended up spannering into the back of him again. Him, them, they, who, what, where, again. And then they were in the vicinity for that one. I reckon there was a little touch there, a bit of revenge, and we're off again. And it just didn't make me very happy. And then I made a rookie mistake and drove it straight into the side of the wall. There was a few more crashes, but we're not having a review of how rubbish I am at Ride 4 because I've been playing Gran Turismo 7. We're doing a quick review of the 600, so we'll get back on the job at hand. When we finally did get away, is that enough aways, from that R6, it was actually an entertaining race. We did end up out front. It's Kanto South on a CBR 600. I would expect no less. As you can see, the front tyre, that's a medium. Not interested at all. The setup that you saw, I made no changes to that setup across all 4 races, dry, wet and everything in between, and it just wasn't interested in the medium tyre. We did go and do a time attack. The sound on the time attack was just glitched again, full of nasty noises, like the aliens are invading. We did 6 laps and we ended up with a 1:36.564, which we're already 4th on the Rivali. It would have put us in 8th, 2 seconds. Best part of 2 seconds away from the Rivali, so you need a bit of CC. I mean, Diesel 46, the Doc, has done an absolutely cracking time on an R6. Where he's pulled that from is beyond me. The next race, we went to Sakuba. Again, it wasn't too bad. It was all about the start, avoid a bit of carnage and cartwheeling riders. Try to outbrake a super tanker, aka a ZZR 1400. We've done the race version of that last time. Road bike. Have I done the road bike yet? I don't think I have, but I'll have to do it at some point. And it was all about the back straight, and we were trying to hunt down said GSXS 1000 Suzuki, and we just couldn't get anywhere near it. Didn't matter how fast I was around the corners. The minute we got on the straights, that thing's got at least 150 horsepower. It just vanished into the distance. I'm not a massive fan of the Sakuba circuit on anything. On this, on Gran Turismo. Is it on Forza? I don't think it is it? If it is, It's not one that I've done recently. We did a few laps on the time attack, and do you know what? Actually, the bike was fairly livable. We weren't great. Our race time would have put us 94th. The time attack, 55.428, would have put us in 44th, and that's running a hard front. I think there was possibly a medium front in the mix because the hard front's not really getting too warm. But again, I wasn't really overly hooked by the performance of the bike. And when you look through the leaderboards, there is an odd 2005 CBR600, the 2009 and 2000 and I want to say 16, 14, 13, something like that, 15 probably. There seems to be a bit more of them, but the 05 is few and far between, and I can see why. It doesn't have the greatest one lap potential. Now 5 laps in stinking conditions, this is your boy, because it's very approachable, very friendly. It doesn't produce massive spikes of power. It uses both tyres pretty well. It'll let you dance about on the brakes, etc, etc. But yeah, 10th on the ZX6R, and that's the difference. The 2004 ZX6R does a 54.5. We do a 55.4. It's only 9/10 of a second away, and we end up 44th. But that's Sakuba for you. That's the tightness of the track. But again, there's not many CBR600RRs 2005 vintage in the leaderboards. I did spend a bit of time looking, but in the end I got bored. Third of 4. The third of 4 races. That's a mouthful. Okoyama GP, 5 laps, big track. Again, it's all about the start and avoiding the carnage. Trying to outbrake speed triples and so on and so forth, and I enjoy the memes about my 600 does 180 mile an hour as much as anybody, because it is in reality utter bullshit. And down the back straight, even tuned to 140 horsepower, guess what, we're getting left. Yes, we outdragged a Harley, well I would hope so, and that is what, an MT09? Can't really tell from the swing arm. And then we got annihilated on the brakes. The pig iron Harley smashed us. Then we got smashed by another Honda. And then a GSXR. Yeah, GSXR decided they wanted to play as well. That absolute mugging cost us a fair bit of time. And we're just getting nowhere near the Canadian rider. God knows what they were on. A Exocet missile by the looks of it. Rear tyre was getting a little bit warm. But when we went back and did the time attack, it was a soft in the race with a medium front. I did soft rear, hard front on the time attack. We did a 127.9, which was about 7/10 faster than we went in the race. We're already third on the Rivali, again, bigger CCs, and would have ended up 14th, I think, 127.955. Yeah, there you go. Would have ended up 14th. And there's a 2009 CBR there, and there's not very many others. RVF 750s, aka RC45s are quite popular, but it's just the PI, the PPPI performance index, what we're calling it, performance rating, I can't remember. It's a 600, it just doesn't have enough stomp. I mean, it's rated at what? S789, so it's only 10 away from the top, but it's just got no torque, none whatsoever. I've got plenty that I could probably lend it some and make it a bit quicker, but there you go. The last race, Sugo GP, in the absolute pissing rain. Nice sky though, must have been some winds whipped up from the African continent and transported across to Japan. Nice red colour. 134.8 on wets would have put 76th, so a top 100 time on wet tyres. I was quite impressed with that. I hate this little chicane halfway round the last corner. It's an absolute aberration, put in there to obviously placate the health and safety mad people in this world, but that last 180 degree corner that builds and builds and builds and then goes up the hill, that's absolutely mega. And we were chasing a Ducati 9, I want to say a 996, I don't think it was a 916, I want to say 996. I couldn't outdrag it. We did go and do a time attack, did a few more laps this time, did 10, we ended 130.5, so that is 4.3 seconds quicker. And we ended up 17th, not set a time in the 700 to 799 class on there before, so there we are, 17th. I believe, don't quote me on this, I do believe that is the top CBR600RR in 2005 vintage. So there you go. Very, very usable, not the fastest, not the slowest. We'll pretty much cover off all bases, stick some softs in it and go and have some fun. Set up electronic settings are there for you to peruse and use as required. It's only a little bit away from the standard Honda 2 and 8, because Hondas don't seem to vary from that very much. And do you know what? That has aged very well as a motorcycle. I think the later fairing was done for reasons to go racing, etc, etc, but as a motorcycle I think that is quite nice. Very close to the blade of a similar vintage and the MotoGP bike, I get that, but next time we're going to do that, the 2019 KTM 1290 Super Duke R, and it's not as good as you think. I'm mildly disappointed with it, but that's your lot. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, all the usual jazz, and fingers crossed I will see you next time. Take care, stay safe, peace.